What's it stand for? Questions and answers. Christian Friesian and Ella Daniels both asked me, when did I start writing? I started writing at a very young age. I remember writing stories when I was like 6 or 7 or whatever, and I would always like bring them to mom or show them to my classmates and stuff like that in school. And the stories I used to write was ridiculous. My imagination would run wild. I wrote a little story once about a little miniature bulldog clip that went on a killing spree and it was killing people with like a little handgun that was like a millimeter small, and it was ridiculous, but I thought it was the funniest thing ever. I couldn't stop laughing. But so I've been writing for a long time, and when I was 12, I started what I thought was going to be a very serious book venture. It was going to be like a trilogy or a quartet or something, and I wrote out an entire book in a notebook, and yeah, I really loved the concept. It was very similar to Philip Pullman's stuff, like Northern Lights and Subtle Knife, stuff like that. Inspired by Philip Pullman and Harry Potter as well. So that was at 12, and I redrafted that every year for many years until I got entirely frustrated with it. So I've been writing a long time. So I guess without deviating again, technical answer would be like 6 or 7 I started writing. It's always been a passion of mine. John Murdoch asks, how do you plan your stories? How far in advance do you know where your plots will go? How your characters are going to develop and change? This one's interesting because I guess sometimes I have a very clear idea of where I want it to go, or at least I think a lot of the time I have a really interesting idea about a twist or really interesting core concept that I want to explore in my story. I don't necessarily plan them out like step by step. It's just like I have a twist. I'm like, oh, this is an awesome twist. How do I get to that twist? So it's like establishing the characters and the place and the situation that kind of naturally revolves around getting to that twist. So yeah, I guess that's an answer. Thanks for the question, John Murdoch. Taylor, with a U, asks, in your books, what is the most influential thing that you want your readers to grasp? And that's a bit difficult to answer, but Psy Element Obliterate, awesome name, dude, adds something very similar. He says, do your stories hope to portray any sort of lesson in their resolution, or are they just literary pieces of their own accord? That's difficult because that's like a lot of weight up on my shoulders if I'm trying to change the world, which who says I'm not trying to change the world? I think first and foremost, my pieces aim to explore interesting ideas or concepts. So I'm not necessarily trying to impart wisdom or teach people a lesson. In pieces like Future Developments, there's a twist at the end, and it can be construed a number of different ways, which might be looked at as a critique on global warming or imminent destruction of Earth from a meteor or crashing into the sun or whatever it is. But I do think it's important to have substance in a story and not just explore interesting concepts for the sake of it. But yeah, I don't set out to teach anyone a lesson or impart wisdom. But I do like subtle critiques on society and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely in there, but it's not a primary goal of mine. Sorry, the computer's shaking a lot. It's on my bed and it rocks around a bit. Sharamashi14 asks, what do you feel when you write? What? I don't really know what that means. I guess I'm a method writer. I try to get into the emotions and the feelings of the character, and I really try and picture myself in the situation or the location that they're in, because it's much more visceral and you just get so much more involved in the character and the situation and the story. So that's the best that I can answer that question. Ella Daniels, again, asks what my favorite book is from the Hunger Games trilogy because she saw the Hunger Games in my bookcase. Well, Ella Daniels, I'm going to put up my shield here and just say that I haven't actually read any of them yet. I bought the first one because it seemed like a cool book, but I haven't got around to reading it because I've got a ton of books on my reading list, and at the moment I can't even read for myself. I'm reading for research, but I'll let you know when I get around to it. She also asks, do I play any musical instruments? And if I don't, which one would I play? I don't play any musical instruments. I like to sing now and then. This morning I was singing in the shower. Bit of Lana Del Rey, bit of Kanye West. But no, I don't play a musical instrument. I used to play keyboard in high school, but as soon as we switched, like I was excellent at one hand, so I could play Mission Impossible, James Bond theme songs, stuff like that. As soon as we switched to two hands, I was just doing the same thing. It's like this, you know, when you do that, and it's like, but much harder. So yeah, I was really crap at that. But if I could play a musical instrument, it would probably be bass guitar or something. I mean, I'm not greedy. I don't want to be a lead singer in a band or anything and play really good guitar. But yeah, bass guitar would be sweet. Rebecca K asks, have you published and what was the process? I haven't published a book. I've published a couple of short stories and a fair few articles. But I think Rebecca is asking about the book publishing process. And so I'm not entirely familiar with it. My knowledge of it is that you get a really good manuscript which you have edited, and you either go through an agent, which you're lucky enough to have, and they submit it to a publisher, or you're lucky enough to find a publisher that it accepts unsolicited manuscripts. But that path is, you know, can be quite arduous, I've heard, because it's like they have a massive slush pile. Because I mean, tons of people just send in stuff, and most of it's crap. So they have to, you know, sort through that stuff. And if yours is lucky enough to go through the next stage and get read by an actual editor, then you're very lucky. But so it is a bit of a process. But the process that I'm going through is I'm editing the book with a friend that I met at the Rise Festival, and I'm weighing up options of you know, either self-publishing or putting it on Wattpad or crowdfunding to get publishers' interest. Because I think that it's a book that obviously a lot of people have shown interest in, and I think that they should take notice of, really. So I hope that answers your question, Rebecca. Control Your Chaos, or one word. And many other people have asked, when am I going to publish Blink? And that's a tricky one to answer because it's, you know, I've got the manuscript, but I haven't edited it yet. And editing's a fairly long process. And it also depends on which road I want to go down. Whether I want to try and subject myself to the grueling process of a traditional publishing route, which is probably the best for me, like if it worked out, or whether I upload it for free, or whether I, you know, go through crowdfunding and try and get a publisher's eye that way, or raise the money to self-publish it. The problem with doing it in a traditional manner is very long process, so I'm told, and takes a lot of patience and reworking, and yeah, we'll see. You've got to be very lucky as well. You can't just have talent. And the problem with putting it online for free is that it's fantastic for all you guys, and I would absolutely love to do it, except, you know, I'm trying to make a career out of writing, and it may not be the best choice for me, so I'm not sure. And crowdfunding is looking pretty good at the moment, so that's kind of combining the best of two worlds, where it's like you guys are showing me support, not, you know, like just little bits here and there, and that allows me to go down the more traditional method of publishing. Ella Daniels, again, Jesus, can't keep her away. She adds to that question, what worries or hopes do I have for it? Well, my worries are obviously that it's not going to get published, and no one's going to give a crap about it, and that the writing's not good enough and stuff like that. But my hopes for it are that that someone important will kind of take notice of it and think that it's important and that needs attention, and that they'll work with me in developing the manuscript so that I can get it published. And I mean, my dream is not to be a famous, successful author or whatever. I want to produce stuff that people like and stuff that makes people think, and I want to contribute to society and contribute to art and stuff like that. And I'd love to have my book on my bookshelf and stuff like that. And yeah, it's not my goal to be super famous and stuff like that. But I mean, if it happens, cool. Someone once asked me, I can't remember their name, but they asked me which of my stories was my favorite. And that's such a cruel question to ask, because it's like asking a parent which is their favorite child in front of the children, kind of thing. It's so mean. And I love all of my children equally. They each have their strengths and weaknesses. It's hard to say because, like Blink has just done so well, and it would be easy for me to say, well, that's my favorite story. And concept-wise, I think it's probably one of my best concepts. Writing-wise, definitely not. I've written much better stories than that. So it's hard to say. Sarah Randall asks, how do you get through writer's block? And that one's tricky because it's there's a tough balance between forcing yourself to be creative and just waiting for inspiration to strike. And I don't think either of those are the answer. Because if you force yourself to write, it's kind of you're gonna hate the process, and your creativity is not gonna be there fully, and it's not gonna be a fun process. You're gonna get words out, but they're probably not gonna be good words. Like some writers swear by the process of writing 1,000 words a day, no matter what, or just writing to get the crap out, and then uncovering good stuff. And that works for some people. It doesn't really work for me. And then on the other hand, like waiting for inspiration to strike, well, that might only strike once a year, once in your lifetime. You can't rely on that. So I kind of rely a bit on both. It's kind of, I try to write every day, and I write a little bit, but if I hate it, I'll probably just put it off till the next day. And I try and, in a way, I try and force myself to have the inspiration. I'll go through old notebooks and stuff like that, and dig up old ideas and go, oh wow, that's a really interesting idea. Or watch a lot of good TV shows or movies or whatever, and they spark ideas in me. And it's not about ripping off their ideas. It's about something in that show or that TV, in that movie, sparks a different idea in me. And Ella Daniels, once again, good lord, she should be sitting here with me delivering this video, because she's got enough. She could be my interviewer. Actually, she did interview me once. You guys should check that out if you want. But she asked me if I have any advice to beginning authors. That's tricky again. You guys ask a lot of tricky questions. It's hard because I'm still a beginning author, so why should I be giving advice to people that are still beginning? So, but what I would say is obviously that you have to have the passion for it. You can't just want to be a famous author and then think that it's just going to happen by writing half-assed stuff. You really have to have the passion for it, and you have to commit a lot of your life to it. And I'm not going to be one of those people that says that you have to write 1,000 words a day if you want to be an author, blah blah blah, or you have to commit this many hours a day and all that kind of crap. But it's more about committing mentally. It's like you are prepared to see this through, like see the idea through. So if you have an idea for a story, you're gonna draft it out and redraft it and redraft it and redraft it, because as I said, writing is rewriting, and it's a tight cliche, but it's very true. redraft it, and submit it places. And which brings me to the next point. It's like, if you want to be an author, you have to get used to rejection, because you're going to get it a lot. And we've all heard, J.K. Rowling got rejected 7 or 9 times, I can't remember. One guy got rejected 500 times before being published. And it's like, you have to get used to that, because rejection doesn't mean that you're a bad writer. I mean, it could. It very well could. But it usually means that your piece is just not right for their market. Because God knows there's a lot of terrible writing that's been published. It's just been published in the right market to the right people. So you have to have that belief in yourself, because it is soul shattering when you get rejections. But you have to have faith in yourself and faith in the writing that you're producing, and say, that this story needs to be told and people need to read this. And I believe in myself and I believe in the story. So you have to have that confidence, which I'm still getting. But yeah, so that would be my biggest advice to beginning authors. And also, give time to your work. You have to give time and space. Like, if you write a piece and you finish it and you're like, you've been editing it for a while and you're just gonna hate it. You need to give it a week to rest, and then when you come back on it, it's going to look a hell of a lot better. And you're like, oh wow, this is really interesting. This is actually a kind of good story. And you'll pick out all the bits that don't need to be there. And you'll be like, oh, that's crap. Because when you're editing in the moment, you're so attached to it. You're so close to it. You can't see, because everything is your baby. You've been slaving over everything. It's like, if you give it a week, you can gain some perspective on it and then go, okay, well, that doesn't really need to be there and stuff like that. So time and space is brilliant for any author, any writer, not just beginning ones. Anyway, so that's my extremely long video. I hope you guys liked it. I'm planning on producing a bunch of more videos in the coming months, so they should be fun, and I hope you guys enjoy them, so stay tuned. Bye.